Right, this part of the video is to show you how to substitute with the values. So for example, this is a part I really don't like, that the syntax of the Mathematica. It took me some time to get used to that, so I hope this really helps, because I had trouble to understand at the beginning. Okay, so here's some formula that x and y are indeterminate. The good part is that x here, there's little space in between x and y, and the Mathematica recognizes it as x times y. But if you type xy together, and it's going to recognize xy as a one variable with a name xy. So make sure you have a space in between x and y. So x squared minus x times y plus y cubed minus 3. So this is a formula. Often want to plug in x equals 2 and y equals 5 and get a value out of it. That's what I mean by the substitution. So this is how it works. First, you type this one into Mathematica and make sure your x and y's are all in blue. That means that this is a new variable. There's nothing is assigned to that x. So we're going to create the substitution value. I just named it substitution rule 1. So the bracket is a list, like we just reviewed it earlier. This is a substitution list. So it's going to be a list. X is going to be replaced by 1 first, then y is going to be replaced by 7. So in this order. Okay. So how we're going to actually put this one in there is this the syntax that I was talking about. So here it is. Formula. This one is the formula goes to that place. There's a slash dot, and that's the syntax you have to get used to it. And here's a formula, and there's a slash dot and the substitution rule. And then it's going to substitute x equals 1 first, then y equals 7 later. So if you plug those value in 1 and 7 in there, and this whole value is going to be 334. Again, if you want a numerical value here, or if you want a numerical value, you want to turn that 1 to 1 point or 7 to 7 point, then it's going to show you numerical value here. But this is how you substitute things. So if you you can type these things directly into this format. So let me show you that part. For example, like this, rather than name this formula like this and substitution rule here, it named with this substitution rule 1, and then type in it here, you can just directly type this one like this. And sometimes the Mathematica output is given in this form, and you don't want to keep typing it over and over if you have to repeat this one over and over. So this type of thing will be useful, and if you have to transfer the result from other commands and have to substitute it in here, and which is the following part is actually about that. But this is how you directly substitute. You can either directly type it in here, or you can name it. So you really need to practice to get used to it. It's very unnatural syntax. Another great thing about the Mathematica is it can do some exact algebraic computation. For example, going back to the same formula, and then if you want to replace an x and y with a slightly different expression, not necessarily numerical computation, we want to replace x with x minus y and y with 2x minus 3y. This is called linear change of variables. So and then you expand it, and then you want to see how it looks like and something like that, and you can do that in a Mathematica nicely. It's good about that kind of algebraic computation. So this is called the substitution rule 2. So if you put it in there, and then it's going to do the calculate, it's going to substitute. It actually, what it shows is that disappointing result that it just simply substitute x and x, all these 2x's and 2y's there with the parentheses. And if you want this expanded version, and you have to expand that, and there's this additional command required, it's called expand. So what this percent symbol is, and this whole thing here in my original file was in one cell. So whenever you have shift enter, you always go back to the first line of the cell and execute that first line, and then second line, and the third line in order. So every time when you hit Shift Enter, it's going to repeat that from the first line of that cell. So what this percentage represent is the result of the previous line. So this formula with this substitution rule is represented by this one in this percent symbol represent the immediate preceding line, the result of the preceding line, and then you expand it. It's a useful symbol to play with. Now we expanded it, so all those things, cubed and squared, expanded all together and simplified into this form.